to the barber. And when I'm not changing lives, we're watching Sons of UCF live.
Go Knights.
Charge on.
Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trace Rolka. Welcome into the Sons of UCF Live. Adam, look who it is. On time and everything. It's UCF Mike.
Yes. Listen, we've been giving Mike a hard time around here lately, but you all should know Mike is doing a very good deed. He's coaching a softball team for his daughter. She's on the all-star team. It's a pretty big honor. We've given him a hard time. He was on time today, though, and we were actually surprised. I think Mike thinks, Trace, that you and I just sit in this room waiting for people to like hop in at all times, because here he is.
I thought I was getting here really early today. I was going to surprise you guys. I'd be the first one in, 7:56, and boom, both of you guys are already still here. I didn't get it.
That's I like that you think early is 7:56. I like that. Well, good to see you again, Mike. Enjoyed the podcast this week and all of your stories. That's what Adam and I were talking about before you hopped on.
Yeah, it was a great one, right? And all the, what, you like the concert stuff? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, top 5 list. I'm thinking about the cheese at the concession stands in a completely different way now, thanks to you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you always got to be careful with stadium food, and especially up in the upper deck of the Camping World Stadium. Wasn't much to pick from.
So, Adam, you've confirmed our guests for tonight, right? We got Maddie Bejarano, UCF softball, and Mackenzie Milton, right? That wasn't a typo. It was the Mackenzie Milton.
I was supposed to do that. I thought you were doing that. I believe they are both here. If not, Noah Vedral on deck. So everybody stand by.
Noah Vedral, that's good. Let's before we start talking to Maddie in a few moments, let's go around the kingdom a little bit. Ben Witherspoon, hired by men's basketball, special assistant to head coach Johnny Dawkins. Locals in Orlando may know him as the head coach the last couple of seasons at Dr. Phillips High School. Seems like a good hire connecting to the high school kids and the recruiting scene. So that's interesting from Coach Dawkins. And Mike, I know this spells championship to you, but the Knights have added Jalen Young, 6'2" guard from Baton Rouge Community College. How you feel about that? You like that?
The powerhouse of Baton Rouge Community College. They're a juggernaut. You guys might not know about those guys. 6'2" guard.
What do you know about him, Mike?
We need to fill the rosters. About him, I don't know anything.
All right. So if you look at his stats, he actually seems like he's a pretty decent 3-point shooter. We lost some 3-point shooting in Darren Green. Now, I'm not calling him Darren Green. Let's all be careful. But he looks like he's got a decent outside shot. We're losing a lot of shooting, obviously, with Mahan and Green both leaving. Darius Perry never missed a shot that he didn't take. So at this point, I think Jalen can only help us maybe make some threes. Yeah, maybe.
We need help everywhere, guys. We just lost the whole roster. So
quick note on Witherspoon, though. He's an assistant, Trace. He actually can't do formal recruiting, I think, for a period of time. So not that he won't recruit, but I don't think he can be formally on the recruiting trail.
Thank you for that note. Softball, Jada Cody, previous guest on the Sons of UCF Live. First team All-American by D1 softball. Well earned by Jada. And of course, you guys talked about this on the show earlier this week. The new name for the Bounce House, FBC Mortgage Stadium. Headquartered in Orlando, deal looks to be 10 years, $19.5 million. I asked on a poll question, what are you going to refer to the UCF football stadium as? Nearly 92% say they're going to call it the Bounce House. They're not bought into FBC Mortgage Stadium. And Mike, I liked your idea. What was it, the FBC Mortgage Bounce House, or was that some variation thereof?
Yeah, I don't know why they have to have the word stadium in there. You've got places that are called, I think Ford Field is one. There's a few other ones, I'm sure, where you could just call it the Bounce House and call it FBC Mortgage Bounce House. I think it fits everybody.
The house may bounce as long as the check doesn't trace. That's all that really matters.
Okay. Some other comments at MD Night 2016 says, just going to refer to it as FBC. Robert, 2 letters, 2 words. FBC Mortgage Bounce House. He goes along with that. UCF Feisty says it's going to mark the age of fans. Old guard will call it the Bounce House. New ones will call it FBC. I wonder if there will be a divide on that. How many people remember now? What was it? Bright House Stadium.
Yeah.
And
I still called it the Bright House. I called it the Bright House after it was Spectrum for like 2 or 3 years. So, those things last.
What did you refer to the Citrus Bowl as back in the day?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Just replace the first couple letters.
And you were talking about how you didn't think it was the most modern of stadiums. Remember, they have pumped a lot of money into that stadium. back in the era in which UCF played, it still had the troughs in the men's room.
I remember. I remember well.
I remember
too
those
well.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, they need to go all the way with that thing. If they're expecting to get the World Cup in a couple years, I got to tell you, they're way behind the Hard Rock Stadium here in Miami.
But Orlando is a destination. I mean, how many times is the stadium used, though, right?
Never. Not anymore. Just for a couple
High
bowl
school
games and
games,
some
right? A couple
concerts.
bowl games, right? Yeah, I don't think it's all that. I don't live in Orlando, so I'm speaking with zero knowledge in this topic. But you don't see a lot of national events there. I think they sometimes have a kickoff game there. I think I remember Alabama playing somebody there in a kickoff classic. But
a couple of
you're
bowl
looking at
games. They just had monster
3-4
trucks
games a year.
there
Yeah,
a couple
big.
of weeks back, and of course Paul.
Grave digger.
See, they should have combined the monster trucks and Paul McCartney. I think that'd have been a heck of a show.
There's too many old people. Nobody's going to get out of the way of those monster trucks. The crowd that was there that night, I'll tell you that.
What was Lauren's comment? Flash that back, Mike. Was that your
that
name
was the
for it
name.
right there? That was
for it.
close. Was that close to what you were thinking?
Pretty close.
That's
That's right.
But for UCF, right, at a time when much talk is about the money that the program needs, that's a good chunk of change on an annual basis for Terry Mohadjian.
Yeah, the reality is with the funding goals we have, we're going to have to find ways to self-generate revenue. There's going to have to be different revenue streams other than just donations, other than just contributions from conference affiliations and whatnot. So this is one step in that direction. There's not a ton of research out there. I tried to do some. I saw Christian Simmons of the Pegasus Pod did the same thing. Not a lot of valuation out there, but 195 appears to be on the upper end of what's available. Houston Stadium is at a 1.5. The big outlier is Washington. They're at a 4.4 annual valuation. So 195 is actually pretty solid relative to what's available out there. And the challenge with a lot of the colleges is that, they can't name their stadiums because they're named after alumni who donated $100 million. So you're stuck with Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. You can't change that into something from a monetization perspective. So UCF has an opportunity, I guess a rare one in college sports. 195, you can't sneeze at it. I mean, now there is a 5-year opt-out, so people should know that in 2027, the deal can be reopened up and renegotiated on both sides. So there is a 5-year opt-out. So essentially a 5-year deal, but 5 years of self-generated revenue is 5 years of self-generated revenue we didn't have prior to that.
How close were you on the bidding here? What was your final offer for the Sons of UCF Stadium?
Oddly enough, we were at 190, but it was $1.90. Yeah, $1.90 a year. I didn't realize, I didn't see the M's at the end of the other bids. That's reading's always been an issue for me.
When Mohadjian got here, he said he was going to sell the name of the stadium. He said he would sell anything. He'll sell the name of the toilets. So you never know. There still may be a spot for the Sons of UCF somewhere in the stadium.
A couple minutes ago talking about troughs, now to the restrooms. So we got a theme going around off the top of the show. Moving out of that to College World Series for softball going on now, and UCF still, looking pretty good when you consider what Oklahoma has done today to Northwestern. Just beat them up. UCF has fared the best out of these teams, though they lost in the Super Regional 8-0, 7-1. UCF finishes at 49-14. I think when you see what Oklahoma is doing to other schools, it makes what UCF did and how they held them, relatively speaking, down pretty good.
Yeah, look, they played well. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma is a juggernaut. It's maybe a generational style team at this point with all the talent they have on that roster. They held their own. Obviously, run ruled in a close game on game one. And in game two, we get a run on the board. Jada Cody hits a home run, which is probably fitting based on her All-American status. You say this every game, a couple of breaks here, a couple of breaks there, but we knew they were a good team. And the reality was we bit ourselves in the foot. We put some runners on base. We did a couple of things defensively. They don't need any more help than they're going to get. We gave them some extra help, but they fought. They stayed in there. And, first super regional in school history. A loss always hurts, but I don't think this is a hang the head situation. I think this is a situation where they played well. They made themselves proud. They made us proud, and they should definitely make sure that they celebrate a great season, one of the best, if not the best, in UCF history.
Fantastic season by the girls all around, all season long, not just this weekend, but before this, hosting that regional at home, history in the makings. That was a great time, a great day for the UCF softball program, and we're going to build from here. Now that it's only up from now, right? You can't go backwards anymore.
A lot of buzz, of course, surrounding that moment that went viral when I asked Maddie Bejarano about her brother. And then that started that groundswell, of course, that led to the opportunity for Tanner to go and see the Knights play in Oklahoma. And if you haven't seen it, please go on to the Sons of UCF YouTube channel and watch the interview done earlier this week with members of the media with head coach Cindy Ball Malone. And she was really candid, her thoughts about the program and just the experience in Oklahoma. And I asked her to talk a little bit about just the importance of family and knowing how important that is to Matt.
And the interaction that I saw with her and her brother, it was after a game, super frustrated. She had an opportunity to win the game and didn't. And super frustrated, comes off frustrated. And he comes up to her and she pushes that away to make sure she acknowledges him and takes care of him and doesn't show him that frustration. And I was like, in that moment, I said, we're going to need that. Her ability to just push that away and show the face that needs to be shown, that's going to help her in some ways.
Certainly helped UCF. Let's welcome in UCF softball's sophomore, Maddie Bejarano. Maddie, welcome into the Sons of UCF Live.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. You know, we saw Tanner on TV and ESPN talked about him, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Tanner, please?
So Tanner is my younger brother. He is 18 years old. He was born with Down syndrome. Probably the happiest person you'll ever meet, is the most loving person, just has a radiance of positivity. And anybody that's lucky enough to cross their path, he's just brightens their life, and he's just is full of positivity, and he's a really great kid.
Obviously, Matt, we saw a lot of great things this week, and nothing better than this picture I'm going to put on screen for you here. Take us through this moment when you and Tanner saw each other in this hug. What was this moment like for both of you?
Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. I mean, I saw him in the crowd obviously before, and then it was just an anticipation the whole game of, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go hug my brother and finally see him. I haven't seen him since, I think, in February. He was at at opening day, and he actually was there for my first home run, and he was going crazy for that. So just to be reunited with him and my other younger brother, it was just amazing. And I could hear him. He's like, where's my sister at? Where's my sister at? So it was really nice.
Maddie, your game against Michigan was legendary. You come up with a big game-tying hit with the game on the line, and then the game-winning hit. People go through their whole lives never having a game like that. Tell me, what was going through your mind when you knew you won the game for us?
Oh my gosh, I was just ecstatic. I mean, I think those are probably going to go down as two of the biggest hits in my career. It was just amazing. I mean, especially that it was an 11-inning game, just to be finally over. And luckily we came across with the win and left that with a win. It was just amazing. Great experience, and I'll never forget that moment.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that moment. I mean, what's the pressure like? I mean, most of us are watching this, right, on TV, or those that were packing the Plex for that. But what's that like in that moment? Did you feel that pressure? Were you just part of the moment and having fun in it?
Right. I mean, I definitely felt the pressure, but I told myself, like, it's just another at bat. Like, I can do this. Like, took a more deep breaths than I ever have before in both of those at bats. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, I knew like what had to be done. So
take us in the celebration after that. We saw a lot of softball alums were there with you all. We saw a lot of folks on the field afterwards. What was that moment like after the game? You and your teammates, what did you guys say? What were you talking about?
oh my gosh, we were just freaking excited. I mean, we did something that no other UCF team had done before. I mean, and then for the alumni to be there, the alumni really helped us out that weekend. And even in Oklahoma, I mean, there were alumni all through there. I mean, they really helped us out, really helped out the crowd and everything. We were just so appreciative.
We know how important your family is to you, with your brother, and not just him, but your cousin Haley was on the team before you got here. How big of a role did she play in getting you to come to UCF?
She actually is the one who introduced me to UCF, so I don't think I would even be here at UCF if it wasn't for her. So she definitely played a big role in that.
We played a soundbite from head coach Cindy Ball Malone just before you came on. Tell us what she's like as a coach. We, for me, I have opportunity to ask her questions, and we've heard her in interviews. What's it like to be in interactions with her, conversations with her?
I love Coach Bear. I mean, she's always she's always treated me great. I think one of the biggest things what I love most about her is that she treats you more than a softball player. I mean, she knows that we're female and we're humans, and it's more than just a game. She always tells us that we're not softball players, that we're people who play softball, and that's how she treats it. And she is the most loving and kind person I've ever met.
You guys had a heck of a year, Maddie. Walk-off hits, walk-off home runs, bat flips, everything in between. Do you have a favorite moment from this season, something that you'll kind of always remember about this Team 21, as you all call it?
I definitely think winning the conference championship will definitely be one that I'll always remember. I mean, that was one of our goals that we set, and just to have that goal kind of get knocked off, and then after that it kind of just spiraled from there, and we just kept knocking off goals that we set for ourselves. So that's always one I remember. So
one thing you guys do,
I hear that you also
that I find it's interesting, Matt. You have a routine as a group, and I've been worried about this all year. So finally, I'm glad I can ask you. You all rock the bus before you get off it, right? You shake this bus, right? Is there ever a time where you were like, "Hey, that's a little too far. This thing is a little in jeopardy of tipping over," or were you all just comfortable with where you were?
I mean, we were just all just going at it. I think definitely the first game at Oklahoma, I was sitting back watching it. I mean, I'm still participating in the rocking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing might freaking fall over. Insane there. I mean, girls are screaming, coaches are screaming. I mean, it's just like, that's probably like a memory I probably won't ever forget. I mean, it is amazing to be in that.
I hear you're also a bit of a piano player. Are you better at softball or piano?
Definitely better at softball. I mean, I haven't played in a while. I did it for about 8 years, and I stopped when I started playing softball competitively. So I do play every once in a while. My parents always make me play for Christmas. So.
And do you take requests? Do you have a piano there in your dorm room? Or,
No, I do not have a
Okay. All season long, fans packed the Plex, and they just caught that wave of excitement over UCF softball. What is it like to see that fan support and the way it just manifested itself in fans wanting to do something to get your brother out to Oklahoma?
I mean, I always knew Night Nation was great, and then it just like the cherry on top. Once I tweeted what I tweeted, I said to get him out here, and I honestly wasn't thinking anything of it. I just was like, oh, let me just say, because I wish he was here. But Night Nation really just got together and just put that together for him, and I'll forever be grateful for that. I mean, he lives through me. He's not given these opportunities, so if I can share a little bit of that with him, I'll do it. Whatever it takes to let him get these moments with me.
Matt, how cool is it to see some of your fellow athletes out there watching games? We saw the baseball team out there. We saw some of the football guys out there. How cool is it to see some of your fellow Knight athletes out there watching you guys play at the Plex?
It was so cool. I mean, UCF is great. I mean, we all have each other's back, and for them to be out there supporting us, I mean, it's great. I mean, some of the baseball players calling me Maddie Barrel, I think, at some point. So it's really cool.
Maddie, I'm just started my first Instagram page, and I need some advice. I don't know. Can you give me a couple of tips on how to get this thing rolling, get some more followers?
Share your post, I think. I wouldn't call myself a very Instagram person. I always just share everything, so maybe that.
We saw Oklahoma win big today in the College World Series. What was it like facing them? I mean, just how good are they? And are you guys proud of what you were able to accomplish against them?
No, we're definitely proud. I mean, they're a different breed, honestly. I mean, we tip our caps to them. They're a great team. It was just cool. I mean, we've always seen them on TV ever since we were younger and stuff. So actually being able to like go out there and compete against them, it was great. It was a great experience, and I'll always remember that experience.
Well, Matt, I know some time has passed for you since the final out, and obviously, anytime a season ends, you sit down, you probably think a little bit about where you are as a player, as a person, kind of what your situation is. And I know that you and I had a chance to chat, and you want to talk directly to Night Nation and share some news tonight. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to you to kind of share your message and talk to Night Nation directly.
So after Oklahoma, I had a lot of family out there. I mean, it was only a 12-hour drive for my family, and a lot of family was out there, and there would have been even more family if Oklahoma didn't sell out. But after that, it kind of confirmed to me that I wanted to get closer to home. So as of yesterday, I am officially in the transfer portal. I love Night Nation. Night Nation has always been great to me. It has built me to become the person I am with everybody that's helped me through my career here. I'm very sad to say goodbye, but I mean, it's been a great opportunity, and I'm always going to be forever grateful, especially for Night Nation. I mean, you don't even know, some of you don't even know me or my brothers personally, and you guys just hopped on there and helped get my brother there, and I'll always forever be grateful. So it's definitely hard to say goodbye, but I definitely need to get closer. My little brother Tanner has been asking me to come home for a while, so I think it's time.
Obviously, a tough decision. Matt, how was, have you had a chance to talk to your teammates yet? And what do you think that conversation is going to be like?
I have been talking to all my teammates. I let them know. They've all been super supportive. I mean, they know it's hard being away from home. It's 2,000 miles away from Arizona, and they're all super supportive. They know how much family means to me. Family to me is everything. And it feels really good to know that they're supporting me and just want what's best for me.
And what's Tanner's reaction to this?
Tanner's very excited. I mean, he is happy to have me back. He's been calling me. He says he just got his permit a couple months ago, so he said that he's going to be taking me out to go get coffee when we get home. So start my journey back home tomorrow with my daddy's flying out. So probably going to be like a four-day road trip. So,
well,
Maddie, if you can tell by the comments on the bottom, everybody's still rooting for you. We all love you. And I'm personally very grateful for you to be the first NIL deal that we ever signed on Sons of UCF. So you've made history with us too.
Yes, I'm so happy, and I'm so glad I could be part of that.
Maddie, we appreciate the valuable time that you've given up to talk with us tonight. It seems like you got some preparing and packing to do as you reunite with family. Thank you for giving us so many great memories throughout this season and being a part of our UCF Night Nation family. We thank you.
No, thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
All right,
Maddie.
Maddie Bejarano, thanks for being with us on the Sons of UCF Live.
Yo.
Say it ain't so, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Here's the thing, right? You know, it's funny when you think about transfer portal. I guess I'll editorialize for a second. We think about this a lot. We talk about it with football. And the thing is, I got a chance. Maddie reached out to me earlier in the week and just kind of shared her, her decision and what she was going through. And to hear somebody kind of thinking about a life-changing decision, something they want to do for themselves, you could hear, the heartbreak in her voice as she kind of shared that. And I guess it really kind of changed me in my thought process on transfer portal, right? We always yell at everybody, why would you leave? But I heard her, her voice. I heard the way that she was thinking about it. And it's unfortunate, right? It's almost like losing a coworker, losing a colleague. You don't want to see them leave, but they're off to something better. So I'm just glad she was able to be a part of our small circle here for a little bit, and grateful for all the great memories she gave us as UCF fans. I know we're going to keep cheering her on and rooting for her. We'll stay in touch and with her, obviously, and maybe we'll bring her back some point after she's settled in and check in, see how she's doing. But just a great person, a great story, and we wish her the best. You can't be mad at her for that.
The first daughter of UCF, she we'll always remember her for that. But family comes first, right? And it doesn't matter what we're talking about, especially when school is at least third on the list. Family first always. And she made history in that Michigan game. Everybody's always going to remember her for that.
Is this in some way our fault for bringing all of this family together? Maybe if we kept everybody apart, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Can you blame us?
I think when you saw those pictures, Trace, of Maddie and Tanner, I don't think there's any bond that could get in the way of that. I mean, that's and Jan says it perfectly on the screen here. Tanner needs it more than UCF does. I don't think there's anything that would have broken that bond up. So I think that's just how that should be. So sure, maybe we play a little bit of a jinx role in this, but ultimately I think it's a family bond, and you can't break family bonds that easily.
Yeah, we'll bounce back. We'll get another NIL deal. I think we already have a couple.
Oh,
people
Mike's
in the
moved on
works, right?
already. Jeez. Wow.
Mike, you had one of 17 on the payroll for a week.
She's still in the green room. Like, she's hearing all of this. She's still here, and you replace her. She
Oh,
left
man,
now. See,
she's
she
been-
left because
okay.
of that.
So we're good on once a night, always a night with Maddie, right? We're not throwing her out of that, Mike.
Let's see where she transferred to. If she goes to the Cows, then I'm sorry. I have to say something.
Would that technically be closer to home for her, Tampa?
It's a little further
It's in
away.
South
yeah.
Florida, apparently, right?
Nah, Maddie's had a great story. This has been a great run for UCF softball. We thank her for being a part of things with us over the last week or so. And again, remember, we didn't know it was going to manifest into all of this. The most important thing, Adam, you showed it earlier. If you can bring that photo back up again. Maddie and the unconditional love from her brother Tanner, being closer to family. And that is part of the decision-making process that goes through the minds of a college athlete. So we wish her all of the best, and hopefully she'll stay in touch with us and join us again at some point. So we thank Maddie for that. All right, moving on a little bit here. Mike, you missed Adam and I got together with Steven Bronca for a little 2022 baseball review. We were grateful that Stephen could get with us. He had some time conflicts, so couldn't be with us tonight. So we talked about the season. Knights bow out. They lose to Houston in that second game Saturday. Back-to-back games, a thriller, a walk-off in the first game. I know, Mike, 35 and 25. I don't know what that does for the Greg Lovelady seat, but I asked Coach Lovelady following the Saturday game in Clearwater, what would be his lasting memory of this 22 Knights team?
I'm going to remember how tough these kids were and how much they had to overcome, and had, such a great season considering all the stuff that we had to deal with. And, again, I pray that they will draw from that and continue to grow from that, and, be better husbands and fathers because of that.
All right, Mike. Yeah, where are you at on this? 35 and 25, been since 2017, since a regional.
Yeah, that's the barrier, the bar we got to set there. To get to the regional, you got to get to the postseason every year. This conference was weak this year. Only one team made it to the tournament in East Carolina. We should have been beating up on these lesser teams and maybe made a better name for ourselves.
Adam, injuries though. Injuries, right? I know every team's got
Yeah.
injuries, but I mean, not many innings out of their top two starters, and Connor Stain and Hunter Pattison. They lost their
hate
power
these.
hitter and Nick Romano, first baseman, and then great gaps of time without Alex Freeland.
Yeah.
And those are some key players here.
I hate these questions because if you take the clock back and you do this in February and you say, hey, by the way, the Knights are going to lose these guys right here, right? These players will not be playing. They'll not have their full selves. Here's going to be our record. We're going to finish second in conference. We're going to be a hanging curveball away from playing in a championship game potentially for the conference. We all would have been like, hey, you know what? That's not so bad. But then the result plays out as it does. And here you are. The challenge is the success hasn't been there in a while, right? 2017 was the last time we made the postseason. So that's where this becomes a challenge. Is you may take this year and face value and say, hey, injuries, a lot of other issues. But then you go 18, you go 19, you go 20, you go 21, and you start stacking too many of these up. That's where you start to wonder at some point, injuries or not, where are we headed at? I think it's a really important time. Someone's got to sit down, open up the books, open up the entire program, figure out where we are, where we can improve. If that's coaching, if that's training, if that's equipment, if that's, strength and conditioning, whatever that is. I think it's time to do one of those, Jim Fossil-esque Mike moments where you put all your chips in the center of the table and say, let's go all in and figure this out. And if we don't do that, we're going to be here same time next year, looking at another 35 and 25 going, well, what are you going to do?
And not just next year. I mean, we're going into the Big 12 very soon, and every one of these sports is going to see an increase in competition. We got to start getting our ducks in a row here.
So, Mike, warm seat for Greg Lovelady for you.
It's warming up. I mean, how many years has he been without the tournament, you said? We made it his first
2017.
year? And what year did he
2017
start?
last time.
So, I mean,
2016, I think, right?
What was the question?
we've got
His first
What
year
year
was
did he start?
2016.
16 or 17. I don't remember
Yeah.
which one, 16 or 17.
So it's been a while. I mean, and the trajectory is going down instead of going up.
You said that on the podcast this week. Well, what is the reasonable expectation, though? Well, what interval would be acceptable to you making a regional? And then is it acceptable to make a regional on this interval but not advance in it?
Well, advancing is a whole other story. We have to get there first. We've never advanced. We've never won a regional. Everybody knows. I'll be happy with just getting there next year or the next 2 years, and then winning one within like the next 5. How's that?
So say that again. What's the expectation going into the 23
You got to get
season?
to a regional. You got to get to a regional next year. You got to win one within the next 2-3 years. 2025.
So they got to make a regional in 23, or
Yes.
that's it for you with Greg Lovely.
Sure. Yeah. Get him out of here.
Okay. I'm just trying.
There we go. Perfect.
I'm just trying to get you. I'm looking for a viral moment in this show, Mike. We had Maddie. I'm just looking for a moment where you could put somebody on a hot seat. But let's turn the page for Mike and hot seats and bring in a guy who really needs no introduction. He is Mackenzie Milton, and he stops by the Sons of UCF Live. KZ, welcome in.
How y'all doing?
Doing
What's
pretty
going
good.
on, fellas?
Let's begin with some congratulations for you on your recent marriage. Lovely photos you posted of your bride, and you clean up all right too.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
And you got a baby on the way. How
Yes,
close
sir.
is that?
About a month away now. Literally right around the corner. Just had our 35-week checkup yesterday, and we're excited.
Do we know boy or girl? Has there been a big reveal situation?
No, we didn't have a big reveal. We had a baby shower and that kind of stuff, but we're having a boy. Super excited for him to get here.
All right, congratulations.
Thank
we
you.
know you are involved with Mission Control. You've got a big event.
Yes, sir.
This is, as events go at UCF, this is an A-list show. Tell us more about it. June 17th.
Yeah, I got involved with the NIL stuff in July last year with Dreamfield, starting that company. And then, we launched Mission Control here just as an opportunity for the underclassmen athletes here at UCF to have creative fan engagements and as a way for them to be compensated, So, Mission Control has been great since we launched in February. And, we came up with this idea to bring back some of the great UCF players, because since my time here, I've never had the chance to interact with guys like Dante, Blake, Asante Samuel, Brandon Marshall, and those kind of guys. Just they haven't been around much, and I feel like that kind of piece has been missing. And this off season, it was a great opportunity to get all those dominoes to line up to get everyone in one room for a great cause, raising funds for Mission Control. And obviously the Otis Anderson Jr. Foundation, I think, is the biggest thing that has got those guys to want to come. A lot of those guys were close with him. So any way we can continue to have his memory live on through us, we're gonna find ways to do that.
KZ, old heads like me saw that graphic, and we saw Dante, and I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. Dante obviously hasn't been around in much in years. Tell us how that came about. Did you get a chance to talk to him? Tell us how it came about that Dante was able to be a part of this.
Yeah, I just, through the grapevine, was able to somehow get his number and just reach out to him. And obviously there's that mutual respect there, just him doing what he did here and obviously in the NFL, and then me doing what I did. It was really my first time talking to him, and I just let him know what we were trying to do is for a good cause, and he said he's all for it. So if I can be a catalyst to just continue to keep the culture here and grow it here at UCF, I'm gonna do that. I haven't had the chance to meet Dante yet. I'm super excited. June 17th is gonna be my first time to meet him, but I'm fired up.
Mackenzie, Mikey Keene had a pretty good freshman year last year, and going into his sophomore year, you have made the biggest jump ever from freshman to sophomore year. What was it about that offseason? What advice would you give to Mikey heading into this season?
That's funny. I was just talking to Mikey today, and I was telling him, my freshman year we went 6-7, and I got booed in my bowl game. You beat Florida in yours, so you're already starting off better than me. So. I love Mikey. He works extremely hard. Anytime I'm in the Wayne Dench, he's in there, which is a great sign for a guy that's looking to be your quarterback. And I just love the way he carries himself. Love the way he came into that situation last year and took over the team and led. I'm excited to see what he does.
He's got another guy in that quarterback room in John Rice Plumlee that's going to give him a run. What's the biggest differences you see between the two? What do you think that competition is going to be like in preseason camp?
Yeah, I got to watch a little bit in spring. Watch the spring game, obviously, and John looked tremendous in that. I think the good thing is we have three, I believe, quality quarterbacks that can make plays. And, most teams struggle to find one, and we have three that are quality and can win us games. So I think that's huge. I think that's great for our program. I think it's great that there's competition in that room. Those guys are going to get better each day, competing with each other. But I'm excited to see John push Mikey and Mikey push John. And obviously I think Tommy has some growing pains to go through as a freshman, but he's a special player too. So I'm excited to see all these guys bring a little something different to the table. I think John obviously has that X factor with his legs, and you saw during the spring game, he can make all the throws too. So I think it's going to come down to who takes care of the ball, who makes plays, and whoever Coach Malzahn trusts to win games week in and week out. So, but either way, we're going to be in good hands.
Casey, you've mentioned at points in your career, perhaps coaching is in your path at some point. So let me put your analyst hat on for a second. How would you describe Gus Malzahn's offense? What are the things that are kind of the hallmarks of what he does really well? And if the Knights are clicking, what has to be working offensively for us?
I think the thing I love most about, Malzahn's offense, I've only was able to really watch one game like fully, and that was the Florida game. And I watched some of the Louisville game because we were playing them the following week at Florida State. But for me, I love the power run game. I love the way I saw our O-line dominate Florida. That was extremely impressive. I love the way he gets the ball to his playmakers. I think the most important thing you got to ask yourself as a play caller is who's in the game on both offense and defense. And I think he does a great job exploiting those matchups. I think it's creative with the eye candy in the run game. But I think he does a great job, and I think he's done a great job his whole career.
You've had the chance to play under a few different coaches. Obviously, Frost with that option offense, and Hypo with the hurry up, and now Norvell. What style do you prefer? And when you become a coach, which we know you want to, what style do you think you're going to lean towards?
I prefer Scott Frost offense over anyone else's, and that's not to bash the other guys or anything like that. There was not a time in Frost's offense where I truly felt uncomfortable or anything like that. But what I did love about Hype's offense is he kept what I really loved with Frost. So it was kind of a mesh of both. And I think I'll find a way to kind of mix both schemes. I like the wide splits because, it cleans up pictures for the QBs and the RPO game, and it kind of makes the defense force their hand and what covers they're going to run. But I love what we did with Frost in terms of we never ran one play out of the same formation more than 2 times in 2017. And I just think that, to me, that's an incredible stat because you probably look anywhere across the country, nobody else is putting up numbers like that. Frost was always mixing it up with the looks, with the matchups, and he's really just second to none in terms of a play caller, in my opinion.
How could you have used an Isaiah Bowser? You see how he fits into that offense now. I mean, the guy's a bruiser.
Isaiah's a stud. It's actually funny. I met Isaiah when he was coming out of high school and going to Northwestern up at the Touchdown Club of Columbus because he was like all Columbus, all Ohio, everything. But golly, he's a special player, just brute running back, can make guys miss in the open field too. So would have loved to have him, but, I have my fair share of great running backs too, so I can't really complain.
All right, Casey, again, we know June 17th, built by UCF. A lot of icons are going to be here, and you are among the icons. And Mackenzie, when I think about icons, I think about iconic photos. So I have a top 5 list of the iconic Mackenzie Milton photos from UCF. I want you to grade my list, maybe give you some memories as you see these photographs. So number 5, probably underrated in my opinion. I've got the touchdown you have against Pittsburgh. So this, for me, 2 things. One, this was obviously coming off the year in 17 Pittsburgh Power 5 team. People didn't think we could beat a Power 5 team. You guys beat them up that day. Yep. And on this play, I think, if I remember correctly, I think this guy twisted your ankle and you got up and got mad at him. So this is my number 5 Mackenzie Milton photo. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I ran a quarterback draw here, stuck it out, scored. And after I scored, the guy literally tried twisting my ankle. And I got up and probably said some profane words to him. And so did a couple of my teammates. And then, after that, like I was extremely upset. I was like, all right, we're going to pour it on these guys. And I think that was the first touchdown of the game. And then we ended up just routing them. And I was talking a lot of smack that game because that pissed me off. That was some Bush League BS. You don't do that to guys. That's not cool.
All right,
but Pitt's kind of notorious for doing stuff like that. So
fair. Happy memories. Number 4. This is a first down point in the Peach Bowl. Do you even remember when this came?
I think we got to like across their 20, I believe, and I think it was either in the third or fourth quarter. And I felt the momentum. I felt us starting to take over the game, and I was excited. I was starting to roll a little bit. So I remember this one for sure.
Number 3 on my list. This is the Superman, the S on the chest. Was this planned? Was this something you kind of did maybe around the facility? Okay.
Absolutely. This was planned 100%. My brother called me before the game. He said, hey, if you score a touchdown, a rushing touchdown, you got to do the Superman, the Cam Newton to their sideline. I was like, all right. I was like, their defense is really good. I don't know if I'm going to score on the ground. Sure enough, Sam missed the block and it sprung a run and I was able to score. And I was like, oh, snap. I didn't know how I felt about doing it, though, because I was like 3 of 16 at the time in the first half. But I was like, whatever.
All right, number 2. This was some controversy pre-show. Some members of the staff did not think this was number 2. I have number 2, the Memphis flip for a touchdown.
I got that number 1, KZ. That's my favorite.
I think I know what's going to be 1, but
okay.
Yeah, this is up there for sure. These are some good ones. This is, for me now, just how my career played out, this is up there for sure. For sure.
So what do you think number 1 is?
I think it's the USF one.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely that. This is the perfect photo of all time,
great
Casey, because it's a touchdown. Your opponent's on the ground. He may be asleep. I can't actually tell from that photograph. Nothing better. That game was fantastic. This is by far the number 1 photo. This is the most iconic photo of Mackenzie Milton at UCF.
Yeah, this was awesome. I think we ran a gap scheme with the AK, and my back was actually turned to the DN, that linebacker, and I don't know, it was like a 6-10. I just felt him collapse on the edge, and he was going to tackle AK. So I pulled it for like a naked, and I walked in, and he dove and ate the turf, and he actually got taken out of the game after that. They played with no linebackers after, but that was a great one. That's iconic right there for sure.
Do you have any of these framed in your house, or what's your memorabilia situation like on display?
I'm living in an apartment right now, so all the memorabilia is in the garage. But no, I don't have that one framed. I got a couple that people have gifted me with, but I've never gone out and framed any on my own. So maybe one day.
The one that didn't make it was you in the bathrobe petting the cat. I tried to get Adam to get that one, but I think it's been scrubbed from the internet.
That's a damn shame. That should be on the cover of GQ.
Daisy, I know how big of an advocate you were for NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. The only thing, my question is, how do you convince fans to buy individual players' merch when they're also transferring the next year and they're wearing a different uniform? You think that kind of conflicts with each other a little bit?
Wait, say that one more time.
So the NIL, those people are selling individual merch, T-shirts, Mackenzie Milton T-shirts, and then the next day they're transferring to a different school.
Right.
How do you tell fans, to trust me and buy my stuff, and then the next day they're out of there?
So for me, in terms of the brand I started, Tenhana, that started essentially like the week after I got hurt. And I just loved what it was about. It was my culture being brought from Hawaii to here. And just for me to have that impact on the city of Orlando, where Hawaii is basically brought with me to here and kind of had that effect on the community. That's really why I wanted to start that brand, not so much about Mackenzie Milton, but more so just as a lifestyle brand. But for the certain guys that are, having like the fan memorabilia, because I had some of those, like the big heads in the Florida State and the UCF uniforms, I think those are cool. But to me, like, fans are only going to buy that when you're at their university or you're at, you're doing certain things. So I would advise guys, like, if you're going to start like a clothing brand or anything like that, make it like a lifestyle brand that you can take with you like 10, 20, 30 years after. And that's what I see in terms of Tenhana. Like I literally told my clothing guy, I was like, hey, like, all these big heads and stuff like that. Like I want it off my Tenhana website. Like I want this to be a lifestyle street brand to where it's worldwide, and it's not like Mackenzie Milton's part of the story, but Tenhana is a brand in itself, which means one family. And I want that to be spread throughout the world in terms of that thought process of treating each other like family. But I understand what you're saying in the sense of like, you know, I know Isaiah Bowser's got his big heads in UCF uniforms and stuff like that. You know, loyalty is rare nowadays, and that's just reality, from coaches to players to admin to like whoever it is. Like, there's not a lot of loyalty in it in terms of when the money comes calling. But I'll say this, you know, there's a number of guys on UCF that have been enticed, and I'm just being true. There's been guys that have been enticed for several large dollar amounts to go somewhere else, but they have stayed here. And just the resources we have, like we don't have the money that literally Nick Saban and Jimbo are talking about paying their players. Like we don't have that here, but guys want to be here, and we want guys that want to be here to be here. So having said that, go buy Bowser's shirts because he's here to stay. Ryan O'Keefe, whatever they drop, go buy it because these guys aren't going anywhere, man.
Sure, you've learned a lot as a businessman about mission control. And what's been the biggest challenge for you in the growth and the progress of mission control?
Truthfully, just a lot of politics in it from university to university. And there's several reasons for that. You know, universities want to have control of their athletes and things like that. So I understand it. You know, that whatever their athletes do is a direct reflection of their university and vice versa. So I understand that part. But the biggest challenge for me has just been individuals that don't have the best interests of the athletes. And then also working with college athletes could be a bit of a headache sometimes too. So I don't see myself staying in this space forever. I'd like to have an imprint on it one way or another in providing opportunities to guys. But you know, it's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of, because when money gets involved with things, that's when things start to change, and it starts to change certain people. So there's definitely that balance you have to find, but just us as a company, you know, we're integrated with all our compliance departments, and, you know, the deals that we procure for the athletes, we try to make them athlete friendly in the sense of being non-exclusive to where they're not bound to a certain company or a certain deal. But that's all we can do as a company. You know, we can't control others. We can't control blue bloods that just have been doing pay for play for 30 years. Now they're okay with posting on social media. That's the NCAA's job, right? That's the NCAA's job to enforce all that. Us as a company, we'll keep being compliant. We'll keep having a paper trail of every dollar that comes in and out of Drainfield. And as long as we do that, we'll be just fine.
Casey, you wearing a lot of hats these days. Husband, soon to be father, football player, NIL, a businessman, advisor. Put your salesman hat on for a second. I'm on the fence about going to this event on June 17th.
Yep.
Sell me on what can I expect if I show up at the Celeste Hotel on June 17th?
So first and foremost, you're going to meet the three greatest quarterbacks in UCF history of all time. If you sign up for Mission Control today for $10, you get $100 off up to 4 tickets. So instead of $250, you get them for $150, which includes food, drink, chance to meet all these guys, Dante Culpepper, Blake Bortles. We'll have a cocktail hour for the first hour, and we'll have a great program with special guests that I have not yet named, but they might be coaching at UCF currently. And there might be someone directing athletics that might be there too from UCF. So, and there might be a former ball coach from UCF as well that has not been announced. So to me, it's one of those things, like what already advertised is great with the free food and the athletes, but there's going to be so much more there that you just got to kind of be there for that night. And I think it's going to be hard to replicate having all these guys in one room again. I think it's sort of divine that this night is happening this time, and obviously for the cause, the Otis Anderson Jr. Foundation and Mission Control. I think that should sell you more than anything.
I saw there's a silent auction. Can you drop any of the potential items that are for bid?
Yes. So the auction will actually start up next week. For those that can't make the event, we'll have auction items virtually throughout the week, and the auction will conclude at the end of the night, Friday, on June 17th. There will be a game-worn jersey of mine that was worn in a conference championship. sign and frame. There will be Culpepper merchandise. There will be Griffin merchandise, Davis, Bortles. There'll be a whole lot of stuff, and there will be some other like Tom Brady, like there will be some other like cool memorabilia things as well of just everybody that's an average sports fan, right? So I think there's something for all the UCF fans and all the just casual sports fans that want cool memorabilia as well. We're super excited, man. The Celeste is a really cool hotel. If you guys haven't been there on campus, their food is, they got a 5-star restaurant right in there with great food. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to meet Dante and all these guys. So it's gonna be a cool night.
All right, you tell me the bathrobe photos there with your signature. I'm in.
Hey, just for you, I'll make it happen.
Done. Deal. See you there.
Sounds good.
Mackenzie, were you more nervous before the Peach Bowl in that first half, or becoming a father next month, or coming on this show tonight?
Man,
He doesn't seem too bothered about being on with us, Mike.
I just threw that one in there.
Man, I gotta say being a father, just because I mean I'm literally responsible for a life for 18 years, right? But
and after that, no longer responsible.
No, you know what I mean. It's exciting and it's like terrifying at the same time, but I think the excitement outweighs the terrifiedness in terms of becoming a father. I just know that's the most important thing I'll ever do. So like that's it for me. You know what I mean? Like that's like every say businessman, coach, I mean whatever decision I decide, like that is the ultimate reason why I'm making that decision, because it's in the best interest of him and my wife. So that's how I've always kind of been, just very family oriented, and nothing's changed. Now it's just two different people instead of mom and dad and brothers.
Before we run out of light there on your porch,
I can walk inside. My bad.
What do you want to say to Dante Culpepper? Have you thought about that moment when you get a chance to talk with him? You know how important he is to UCF.
Yeah, well, I got to talk to him for like 30 minutes on the phone, so that was great, just to kind of chop it up with him. But I think more than anything, I told him, we want you to be involved here at the university as much as he wants to be. He's down south, so it's a little bit of a trek for him to get up here. But I think he was at the alumni golf tournament for the first time. And, just seeing those glimpses of him being back here, I always wanted to meet him while I was playing. I never got that opportunity. But I don't know if I'll be like starstruck or giddy or anything like that, because I already talked to him on the phone, but I'll for sure get a picture or something. Like, I won't fanboy too much though.
You've mentioned some of the names, Blake Bortles, Dante, Gabriel Davis, Latavius Murray. And I just want to go back to something. It's difficult to hear, but proceeds from this going to the Otis Anderson Jr. Foundation. It's still hard to believe this news all these months later, but this is important that this Mission Control event also benefit that foundation. Yeah,
absolutely, man. Like I did a little autograph signing after the Hula Bowl down here, and we're able to raise funds for Auntie D, Otis's mom, and I told her I'm gonna keep doing all I can, because I think it's when it's fresh that something like that happens to someone that you've seen, or for me, someone that I love, someone that's like family to me. It's easy for most people to like see it and go on about it and then forget about it, right? But that's not what we want in terms of because as a football player, we don't win all those games without Otis. UCF's not where it's at without Otis Anderson Jr. Me as a person and all those guys in that locker room, the way he was as a person, how infectious he was, just the way he loved on everyone. Like, we aren't who we are without O. So it's our duty just for his memory to live on through us, through his mother. And we're gonna keep doing that and keep finding creative ways to keep honoring him.
And one more time, this is missioncontrolucf.com, June 17th. I think you said it best. There may never be another event that brings all of these people together in the same room. That is a must for UCF fans.
Yeah, like I said, man, this is special. It's like a solar eclipse happening, just with all these guys in one room in one night. I'm excited that I get to be a part of it, and I'm just excited. I really don't get to see a lot of the guys I play with, all in one setting. So I think this is going to be pretty exciting in terms of just getting to see a lot of those guys again.
Mackenzie Milton, KZ, we appreciate all the time you have spent with us tonight. Enjoy that sleep while you can. And again, congratulations on your recent marriage and impending fatherhood.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate y'all having me.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
KZ.
you, Mackenzie.
Thanks, Casey.
All right, fellas.
All right. Pretty good stuff right there. I like how he flipped the light on. We could have gone on with him for a while longer. A Sun
I was wondering how long that interview was going on for. All of a sudden, he was in the dark. My goodness.
Yeah, we've gone from dusk to dark. He's like, yeah, no problem. But we could have had him on for a while. You'll have to invite him on the podcast. That's your staple, to talk to guys in extended conversations. But it's pretty good for us, some 25 minutes with him.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of stuff to react to there, right? I the chat was going crazy. Sorry, I couldn't get everybody's comments in there. I saw Lonely Bumblebee is breaking some news right now. He's confirming that KZ confirmed Mikey's the starter. So a lot of stuff to react there. The pit equals dirty. I mean, that was certainly something that I think we all felt at the time as well. But I thought, interesting comments just kind of about, this event, and all those folks are going to be there, and sort of it's cool to see his reverence of the players that came before him and the guys he played with, right? I mean, it's so refreshing to see him, kind of understand the importance he plays at UCF and the importance everybody's played in terms of coming to UCF. So I think it's great that he could easily be at home right now with his wife, getting ready for his baby and not even worrying about this kind of stuff, but he still wants to be in the community, still wants to give back for a great cause with Otis. A lot to react there, but KZ is a class act. Every time you think you don't love the kid anymore, he does something like this. You're like, man, now I got to go to Mission Control and have him sign a shirt and a bathrobe. Unbelievable.
Mike, he said the 3 greatest quarterbacks in UCF history. So clearly he's put himself on that Mount Rushmore. Not that was in any doubt, but he was very clear about it. Him, Blake Bortles, Dante Culpepper. He was very clear on that.
He knocked the head off the Mount Rushmore. He only put 3 up there. Who's number 4? Is it Schneider? Is it Hinshaw? Is it
Mr. Schneider would like a word. Who do you think the coach, Gus Malzahn, Terry Mahajer, but who's that other coach that you think he's hit at? That's Mike Kruzek, right?
I mean, I would think my first thought was O'Leary. He's got a lot of former players there too, so he may be one.
It's a little late for him. It's 7 to 9 on a Friday night.
A couple of whiskeys late at that point. He called him ball coach. So, but it's not Steve Spurrier, I assume, right? So he said, an old ball coach. He's close with Frost. Would Frost?
Boy, that would be something.
That would be interesting.
That's a photo.
I mean, Kruzek is a local guy. That's always a possibility too.
Well, Adam, you're coming down. Coach O'Leary's up in your neck of the woods now. Actually, carpool down.
Well, carpool, yeah. No, that's 2 hours with George on the road.
Mike, have you called him yet? I mean, the Yankees are running away with things in the East. Have you bantered with Coach O'Leary?
I haven't. I think I'm going to wait till the All-Star break. I don't want.
You keep saying that every time I ask this question. I'm going to wait. I mean, you called the guy before. I mean, he's taking your calls. I don't think he remembers who you are. It's like if Timo says, "Oh, goodness, it's Mike," but George is like, "Who's this?"
I think I come up on his phone as spam.
No. Because of the guests and the big news broken by Matty Bejarano, and then of course KZ being generous with his time, we sort of run out of time for the mailbag questions. Adam, can we spin that off? A little Instagram thing or something? A little extra show. Will Mike stick around for that? Maybe we'll.
Sure.
Take those questions.
Sure. Yeah. No, we can put some on the YouTube chat. Do I have to play
Suns
the music?
Plus.
Suns Plus, the paywall. Can we do that?
Yes. Paywall.
But still free is your interview with Juwan Hamilton on Suns number 182. You're closing in on 200 there, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you add in all the other stuff we've done and extra shows, live shows, we're probably in the 200, 250 range at this point, all told. Listen, Juwan Hamilton was a fantastic conversation. A lot of folks may not remember his name. He was the starting running back in 16. He was RB1 in 17. And 4 plays into the second game of the year against Maryland, leg injury, ends up being out for the season, ends up having some other things off the field that he looks back on now. And I think he recognizes, and he even talked about how he grew from some of that stuff. Went on to have a great career at James Madison in Eastern Michigan, but talked about a couple of things. Actually, he talked a lot about Otis Anderson, and he only spent a season with Otis Anderson. And you hear him talk about the impact Otis had on him. And he actually had a fun stat. He said, freshman year, everyone forgets him and KZ, starting freshman quarterback, starting freshman complementary running back. Those two are back there figuring it out live on the fly. So a lot of great memories from Juwan Hamilton, a name you maybe have forgotten and maybe got lost in the lore of everything that took place. But I mean, this guy was on the trajectory to be, potentially one of the best running backs at UCF. And, if when his injury happens, the offense changes and, instrumentally, and then you get to hear from some other guys. So just a good conversation. Go check it out wherever you get your podcast. It's a really good conversation.
Mike, it's certainly not going to be tops on the list, but it is certainly an interesting what if he doesn't get hurt. How does his career play out with UCF?
Yeah, I mean, he was still a very young player. That would have been his sophomore year. If he would have gone that whole season, had a big moment in the Peach Bowl, he could have been a legendary player here, come back for another year. The sky was the limit for this kid.
That is episode 182, Sons of UCF podcast, Juwan Hamilton. We want to thank you for joining us as we had Maddie Bejarano break some news with us, and as well Mackenzie Milton talking about the big Mission Control event on June 17th. And we will answer those mailbag questions. What is it? YouTube, Instagram? What are we doing? We're releasing that where?
Let's just do YouTube, because Instagram, then I got to put the phone up and blah, 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 blah. So we'll put something out on YouTube. You should subscribe to that channel, by the way, YouTube, if you don't already. I saw Brian W. Peterson. I apologize for the car warranty comment. I'm glad you've now subscribed to the YouTube channel. I'm glad our feud is ended, Brian.
Yeah, by the way, cars, speaking of cars, we were talking with Steven Bronca, and I'd run out of time because of work. The real job, the paying job, to do a walk and talk. So I okay, just do this in the garage. I had to run an errand. Who knew? We're going to dissect everything in my garage. No, I do not have the ladder properly hung. It's just leaning against a shelf. I had no idea that people were going to analyze these things.
You had no idea. You had zero idea. Come on.
I did.
We're not
I'd hung the ladder up if I knew it was going to be a subject of conversation.
My favorite was someone said, we'll refer to it now as the mistake by the rake. I think that was my favorite comment.
I was worried you were in the UK or something. You were driving on the right side of the car.
Yeah, there we go with that. That started a whole thing as well. I know this bothers you. It is not why I do it. I just don't want to fiddle with it. But anyway, everybody, thank you for welcoming us in for the Sons of UCF Live. We will see you again next week. For Adam and Mike, I'm Trace. Go Knights!
Charge on.
Charge on.